Do you still retrieve nullable fields in Java and receive null pointer exception like this? Yeah, let me show you a better way. My name is Oscar and I'm a passionate Java developer, and on YouTube I teach you what I learned in Java and Spring Boot ecosystems. Today I will introduce you to amazing feature we got in Java 8, which is the optional class. And it will help us to add more null safety to our Java code. First, let's do a classic fix of this error, how we would do it before Java 8. So let's just add if instance get value is null, we just return, and now if we run this, we don't get the null pointer exception, but just print that the value is null. Okay, what is the better way to do this? Because right now, of course, we can, for example, forget that this field wasn't labeled if this is some huge project and we are working on like hundreds of classes, or we are working on someone else's code and we just don't know that this field could be in label, and we would have to look in the documentation, look in the code. That takes time, and we can get this error and, for example, only discover it months later when there's outage on the production because we got null pointer exception. We will do that using the optional class, and basically, if we read the documentation, it's basically a container for object that can have null value or can have value present. And basically, how we check that is by using isPresent method, or there's other method that is empty, I believe, or just empty. And it will basically return true if we have some value and false if we don't. And also it will generate a warning if we try to get value from the optional and we don't perform a null check before. Okay, so first of all, we will change this string to optional, so return the value of this getter. And now we get an error, but before that we solve that. Basically, you should not really use optional as a type of your field in your class. It's meant for only for return values from, for example, getters. Basically, we get incompatible types and with string and optional, because obviously we need to use optional. We can use off, but actually we should, instead of using off, because there are three main ways to create optional. First is optional off. There is also optional empty and optional of nullable. Basically, off requires you to have a value, so we can't pass null to this method. Empty basically creates empty optional that is just null. We don't need to pass anything to it. But for off, we need to pass some value. And off nullable, we can just pass null. For example, when we know that this value can be null at the point of calling this method. Of course, here we pass null in our constructor, so this field is initialized to null. So let's change it to off nullable, because if we haven't done that, we still will get null pointer exception, just at different part of the execution. Basically, we don't need this null check now. Okay, and here we still get errors because we haven't retrieved the value of the optional. We need to do that using the basic method for this, which is get. Okay, now we get a warning, but let's first run this and see what happens. And we still get exception because we haven't performed the null check that the warning warned us about. So let's do that by basically using one of the methods. So I said there is isPresent and empty, and we're gonna use first isPresent. So if instance get value is present, okay, and only if that happens, where we will call this, okay. Okay, we run, and obviously it works. Basically, nothing happened because we performed the null check. Okay, and we obviously can also do early return by basically, instead of using isPresent, we can use isEmpty, yeah, and the same thing will happen. So this is basically how the most basic way to use optional, like you will use it all the time, basically. But there are also a lot of different methods you can use with the optional. For example, there's filter, there is map, so you can basically return optionals using the map. There's flat map, there's OR, and there are also basic retrieve operations, like for example stream, or else get, or else throw. For example, if our value is null, we can throw some exception, and yeah, else or else throw again. Obviously equals hash code, and toString for the optional also is implemented. If you want to learn more about Java and Spring Boot, check out Spring Boot Academy, top link in the description. Here's the next video, YouTube things you should watch, and until next time, create some amazing applications.